Chasum. Chapter 5. An Acquired Taste. Shu Yi in Hiding. Pio! Peony flower! Damn, this woman is so different today. Is she under a spell? How can she compare our boss to a peony? Boss is handsome, even speaking as a guy. But even though he's really good-looking, anyone who knows him well enough knows how violent he is. Shu Yi discreetly sneaked glances at his boss, but unfortunately couldn't make out his emotions from those dark eyes. Is boss angry or not? At this moment, Gu Yueze looked at the girl who stood in front of him. A girl who was filled with hatred and spoke so viciously. He warned her with the last bit of his patience. Fine. Since you won't come to your senses, next time you have regrets, don't blame me for not coming to you today. Ye Wanwan, I've done my best to help you. Ye Wanwan relaxed a little when Gu Yueze finally stormed off. If she had been in her previous life, she'd have to face the wrath of Si Ye Han. However, she managed to change the course of her life this time since Gu Yueze had left while Si Ye Han... She wasn't sure when his presence had disappeared. Did I pass the test? Si Ye Han's temperament was treacherous and unpredictable, so Ye Wanwan didn't dare let her guard down. After easing her mood, she walked back into the house. Once she stepped into the living room, that familiar voice penetrated into every pore of her body. Come here. On the sofa, the Mars' open gaze was like a net, spread wide for her. Ye Wanwan stood rooted to the ground. Even though she'd been reborn, her fear for this man was still buried deep in her bones and would never go away. But if she wanted to change her fate, she had to overcome this fear. Ye Wanwan dug her nails into her palms to maintain her composure and slowly walked towards him. As she came closer, she was swept onto the man's lap in a swift second, followed by a sudden pain on her lips. The thin, cold lips pressed down hard against hers and nibbled, not missing an ink. Ye Wanwan didn't move. She forced herself not to resist in order to prevent infuriating him. She couldn't help but think that the lipstick that she'd put on today was wilder than before. She looked as if she'd been poisoned. Didn't the color hurt his eyes? How could he kiss her so passionately? She met Si Ye Han when she was 18. For 2 whole years, she disguised herself with many. After that thought, Ye Wanwan suddenly came around. She was actually daydreaming in the arms of Si Ye Han. Once she came around, she was surprised to feel a weight on her neck. Si Ye Han was hugging her like a pillow and resting his head on her neck. His breath was hot against her neck, coming in long and steady rhythms. He fell asleep. How could that be? Ye Wanwan didn't dare make a sound until half an hour later when Si Ye Han was still without movement. She whispered, Si Ye Han? He didn't react. He was really asleep. Not far off, the worried Shu Yi stood by the gate. He witnessed what had happened and was surprised too. His eyes were wide open like he'd seen something unbelievable. Ye Wanwan was astonished as well. She clearly remembered that Si Ye Han had a serious case of insomnia. His body was also more resistant to drugs than ordinary people, so meds weren't effective on him. Each time he wanted to go to bed, he needed a professional psychologist to perform hypnotism. Worst of all, aside from being abnormal, he had a strong psychological barrier too. So it was extremely hard for him to be hypnotized. When he was in a bad mood, hypnotism was totally useless. The Tsai family hired an innumerable number of well-known doctors for him, but there was no cure. Chapter 6. Be Herself Again. Ye Wanwan saw Shu Yi's look of surprise. She opened her mouth to talk, but Shu Yi quickly put a finger to his lips to silence her. He then put his palms together to plead her and mouthed, "The 9th master hasn't slept for 3 days." Hadn't slept for 3 davs? Could this be because of her running away? In the past 2 years, she hadn't given up on running away. This time had been her closest to freedom, just a little more, and she would have been able to get on that overseas cruise. But there was a high price to pay. Before, Although Si Yehan forced her to stay by his side, he had never touched her. The first time he did was 3 days ago. This was why she had believed her disguise to be effective all along. Just when Shu Yi heaved a sigh of relief, a thunderous ring from the phone resounded throughout the living room, disturbing the silence. Shu Yi was scared out of his wits and nearly tossed the phone away. He quickly turned it off, but it was too late. The devil had been awoken. It slowly opened its eyes, not showing a trace of humanity. It looked towards him with eyes that shot daggers, and the color in Shu Yi's body drained. Ye Wanwan was also in a state of shock. Si Yehan had a horrendous temper whenever he woke up. If he was disturbed during his sleep, that was akin to the end of the world. Panicking, Ye Wanwan stretched out her hands. She covered Si Yehan's eyes with one hand and tugged his head against her shoulders with the other, whilst caressing his soft hair with her fingers. "It's okay. Go to sleep." 1 second went by. 2 seconds went by. 3 seconds went by. Si Yehan did not move. A while later, Ye Wanwan carefully removed the hand covering Si Yehan's eyes. The man had shut his eyes quietly and had fallen into a deep sleep again. Shu Yi's blood finally started flowing. He had nearly collapsed just now. He looked at Ye Wanwan with eyes of gratitude. Ye Wanwan stayed in the same position the entire night. Unsure of when she fell asleep, when she awoke, it was already morning. She was lying on the big bed in the master bedroom, with no sign of Si Yehan in the house. Ye Wanwan rubbed her eyes and sat up. The hand she rubbed her eyes with was smeared with eyeliner, fake eyelashes, and glitter eyeshadow. Every girl wants to look beautiful, and would know that sleeping with makeup on damages the... Conversely, now that she knew that her disguise wasn't working, she felt a little freer. She could finally be herself again. Ever since she was 18, a flower-blossoming age for girls, she had never met anyone without her disguise. She had almost forgotten how she looked like without it. Firstly, would be the big, bloody, horrific tattoos on her body. Fortunately, she was afraid of pain, so she didn't listen to Shen Mengqi's advice to get permanent tattoos. The ones on her body could be washed off with soap. Ye Wanwan searched high and low and finally found the soap in a box filled with various other things. She brought the detergent, makeup remover, cotton pads, and a pack of facial masks that Si Yehan had given her previously in the bathroom. She first removed the numerous ear studs and heavy gold earrings, then the dog chain around her neck. Next, she removed her makeup. Finally, she poured the soap into the bathtub and soaked her entire body in it.